This is Christina Kleeb, and you are totally listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I'm going to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, let's jump into the film review. This month's theme is 2010's decade, so any movie which from 2010 to 2019 is a theme. And this week is Brother Mike's pick. Mike, would you like to announce your pick?
Yeah, so I went with 2019. By the way, it's great to be back. I'm burnt, and I have raccoon eyes because of my sunglass tan, and it's awesome. Had a really long day today, but that's okay. We're back in action, baby. I chose 2019's Us from Jordan Peele. We've already done Get Out, and I really kind of wanted to go back to the Jordan Peele vault. There's not a ton to go back to, but slowly becoming one of my favorites. And I got to be honest with you, the very first time I saw this film in theaters, I had mixed emotions because I like Get Out so much, which you can find our review for at
don'tgoouthere.com.
Thank you. Hey, a new jingle. I like the twist on it there. Twist is dick. I really like Get Out. And so when I got out of the theater from the first time I saw Us, I was like, that was interesting. That's different. And I do think they're very different films. Like, I can't express that enough. But upon further rewatches, and I've seen it now maybe 4 to 6 times, maybe, and I like it a little more each time I watch it. I think it's a really good fucking horror movie. It's long, and in parts I think it's longer than it should be. Pause. See? But no, I think Jordan Peele does a great job. I think the writing is really good. The acting performances, which we're going to get into from the cast, I think is outstanding. Shout out to Lupita Longo, who I think does a great job playing 2 very different, distinct characters. Love the way the movie shot. I wanted to go with it since you went with the 2010s. I went to the very last possible year I could squeeze in there for a pick. So I was excited that you went with that, though, so we could finally do this film.
No, good pick. I got to be honest. This is a movie I wish I liked more, but I just don't. I have my qualms, which I think are fair. It's a lot of nitpicks throughout the film. The comedy, while it worked in Get Out with Rod from TS motherfucking A, I just didn't vibe with some of the comedy throughout. I didn't think Gabe delivered it well at the right time. And while I did like the twist ending, that saved a couple points for me, honestly. There's just something about it that I just can't invest and get into and just like it that much. Like you mentioned, Mike, you've watched it, 4 to 6 times now. I've watched this movie 4 to 5 times in the past week, just trying to convince myself to like it more, and I just don't. I'm not saying I hate the movie.
No, I get it.
But Get Out is definitely Jordan Peele's best movie to me. Nope is actually visually beautiful. It's acted well as well.
For sure.
I'm just not into alien sci-fi stuff, so it just didn't work for me. But Us, I'll get into at the end, my qualms, but I just wish I liked it more, but I just don't. Brian, you want to go ahead and go next?
Yeah, I'm with Nico on this one. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised with Get Out and kind of disappointed with this one. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I had too high of expectations, but the trailer had me like really excited for it. And honestly, the first 30 minutes, I was really into it. And then I just feel like around when the tethered family from the Upside Down get there and the movie went worldwide, it went prestige worldwide. It hit a brick wall for me. Like I know that there is a class subtext and a biblical one as well, and I know the rabbits were symbolizing rebirth or whatever, but
Sure.
it just didn't 100% hit me like I hoped it would. I wanted something more sinister, more evil, with mirrors playing such a big part in demonic windows and things like that. I thought that's what I was getting, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I kind of felt myself wanting that. I kind of wanted to be scared, and instead I kind of got this Zombieland type thing almost, with the kids joking about like how many kills they have. And I don't know, I didn't hate this or anything. I agree with you completely, Nico. It just was kind of just disappointing. Like, it was unique. It did have great acting, and we'll get to that. I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie.
So this movie is a movie that, like Mike, I didn't like as much the first time as I have in my subsequent rewatches. It's definitely grown on me to the point where now I'd like it a lot.
Yeah.
So, Mike, it looks like we're going to have a classic 2v2 tag team match here. Some may even say that we're in this together. The movie is, from what I've gathered and reading about it, it's a metaphor about the social structure in America and how a portion of society is kept hidden and out of the forefront, so only a certain image is portrayed. I think the acting is great. I think the twists are good. I think, like I said, it's just one of those that grows on me more and more every time I watch it. If I watch it again after we do this episode, the score may go up again. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So I like it. Jordan Peele is, to me, one of the most genius minds in, I don't even want to say horror, because, Key and Peele, he was a comedic genius as well. So I think Jordan Peele is one of the brightest minds in the industry.
Sure. Really quick, I do think, and the reason I said at the beginning that I think this is such a different movie from Get Out is, one, kind of like a psychological thriller more so. And yeah, there's some horror aspects, clearly, but I do think it kind of messes with your mind a little more. This one's pretty much a straight horror film. There's slasher vibes, there's home invasion vibes, there's, even zombie movie vibes, if you want to go that direction. So I do feel like he kind of tried to combine a bunch of genres in this one. This feels like much more of a attempt at a, classic horror movie. So I get what you two are saying. I do, because even for me, someone that likes it upon, more rewatches, it does drag in a few places. There's just a few places I would maybe trim down just a smidge. And there's a lot of exposition in certain parts I don't think is necessary. But yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about it because, like you said, Dustin, really like Jordan Peele. I like him more every time I watch one of his movies. But he's become very divisive with these last two movies. You either love Us or Nope, or you hate it, except for these two, apparently, who are taking the role of middle-of-the-road Mike tonight, Nico and Brian.
That's the thing, though. It's like, I don't hate the movie. I just don't love this one at all. Like Brian mentioned, and all of you pretty much, the acting is good. Lupita kills it. The kids are good, especially Jason. I think the little kid who plays Jason is really good. The score is great. The cinematography, it looks good. There's some good shots in the movie. But, man, it's just, I don't know. I just didn't like the execution of the concept. It didn't work for me. And I got a lot of nitpicks too I'm going to touch on at the end. But any more opening thoughts before we just jump into the scene by scene? I'm scared this is going to be like Get Out and be another 2-hour episode.
No, we're good. The score is fucking incredible. Love the score. Fucking awesome. And
all right, guys.
The 5 on it string version is awesome too. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, it is. That song blew up on TikTok. All right. There are thousands of miles of tunnels beneath the continental United States, abandoned subway systems, unused service routes, and deserted mine shafts. Many have no known purpose at all. We see a commercial for Hands Across America. It's about 6 million Americans tethering themselves in the fight against hunger. We see a little girl with her mom and dad at a carnival playing games. Pops plays another game as Mama goes to the bathroom. He says he'll watch her. Addie sneaks away and sees a man holding a sign saying Jeremiah 11:11. She wanders onto the beach until she finds Vision Quest. She goes into the building full of mirrors and the lights go out. She's flustered seeing the exit sign appear in the reflection of so many mirrors. She whistles the itsy bitsy spider until she hears someone else doing it. She turns around, but her reflection doesn't. Fading away shot of a white rabbit as opening credits roll and title card. We now see several rabbits in cages in a room full of classroom desks. Present day. We meet the family of Gabe, Adelaide, Zora, and Jason. Gabe scares his kids, waking them up as they make it to their summer home. Dad cracks some jokes as they eat lunch. Zora wants to quit running and practice driving while up here. Adelaide is caught off guard hearing they're going to the beach. Jason fails at doing his magic trick, calling his lighter bullshit. We see a flashback of young Adelaide and her parents going through therapy. After being lost, she's gone silent. Her parents want their little girl back. Gabe asks Adelaide why they have a beach house but don't go to the beach. She shoots him down saying she's not going. But Gabe guilts her into going and he agrees to leave before dark. Adelaide can't find Jason in the house, but she does find a stuffed rabbit and pictures of her younger self, seeing flashbacks of herself dancing. She snaps out of it hearing Jason trapped in the closet. They hear a horn honking and they go outside to see Gabe driving a boat in a circle until the motor craps out. All right, Brian, that's opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
Yeah, this group of scenes and the next is without a doubt my favorite in the movie, and it's not even really close. Like this cold open had me on the edge of my seat, and I started to really get sick to my stomach thinking, this little girl's about to get kidnapped or murdered. And like I literally had a real sense of dread there. I've always loved the Santa Cruz beach boardwalk at night, ever since The Lost Boys. And I thought it was a really cool Easter egg when Adelaide's mother said, they're shooting a movie over there by the carousel. I see you, Jordan Peele. Something else I had no idea about is that this Carney, Duke Nicholson, his two characters he plays are named Danny and Tony. And Jordan Peele told him to play the part like Lloyd, the bartender from The Shining. Apparently, not realizing at the time that he is Jack Nicholson's freaking grandson. Like, that's fucking awesome. But yeah, as soon as she started walking off from her dad, I verbally said out loud, you stupid motherfucking dad. But like I said, I got this really this sense of dread just came over me. And I haven't felt that in a long time. I loved it. But yeah, a little nitpick. The Jeremiah 11 thing is really cool if you look into it. Like Jeremiah's warning against the worshiping of false idols, which goes into a deeper meaning of the movie. And I really like that, but maybe have put that in words at the start when you're given this tunnel thing, or have the guy say it or something, because how many people are going to go research that after the movie? It's something cool that I think should have been in the movie. And last thing, admittedly, it also took me a second when we flash forwarded to realize that Lupita, who I don't have to say is amazing, right? We've already said that a million times. Like, that's kind of a given at this point, but it actually took me longer than I'd like to admit to figure out that she was the grown-up girl. Like, I thought she was the mom still, and Shahadi was playing Adelaide. Like, especially that shot Peele gave us of those family stickers. I thought, oh, whoo, she didn't die. She still has a sticker. Anyway, that's it on that. There's a lot more on this set of scenes, but I'll shut up now. Fantastic set.
Yeah, I'll try not to take too long, but I love the cold open here. I love the text and the kind of the slower music that we get. I think it's great. And like you said, Brian, it gives you a very uneasy feeling going in. And because, upon further rewatches, like we've already said, like the first time I watched it in the theater, I'm like, this is very different already than the last movie we got from Jordan. But now, I just think it's really good. And then we get, this scene on the pier, which very 80s, right? Like Michael Jackson Thriller t-shirt. You've got, Lost Boys references, all that stuff. And I think they do a great job of kind of setting that up. And it is very scary once she starts to walk off on her own. You get that sense of dread. And I think they shoot it so great. And that happens again later in the film. But this movie's use of the dark, I think, is wonderful. Like, I love the way it's shot. So I guess that's the cinematography, and I think it's really, really good. I love the way they've used mirrors, unlike Oculus, where it's the main character. It's just, kind of supposed to show your reflection and how, that ends up working out with the tethered. And I think it's a good scene. I think, whistling and then and then whistling back, and then how her reflection moves, but not quite like her. Like, I think that was a really, really cool shot. And I like all this family interaction here that we get. Mom, dad, daughter, son, very standard American family there. I actually like the character of Gabe. I know that maybe I feel like that's a hot take according to the internet. But okay, I think he adds some good comedic relief. He's very dad. I'm not sure what Brian's opinion on Gabe is, but I feel like he should like him quite a bit because they kind of reminded me of each other. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think all the family stuff is good, and we're already getting kind of off weird vibes from Lupita here, but we're also getting it from Evan Alex, who plays both boys. And I do think that he does a great job kind of being very creepy. The daughter kind of feels like a normal teenager, and then you've got this kid who's, he's got the mask, he's into magic tricks. Like, there's something a little bit off about him, and I think that they kind of touch on that more as the film goes. Last thing, #CrawDaddy, baby. I'm going to change my Twitter name to #CrawDaddy because that's a fucking terrible name for a boat that you're not going to catch any crawfish with. But I thought this was a really good set of scenes to make me kind of gravitate towards the film already.
So I love the era setting for the open. They do a great job at capturing the essence of the 80s here. I also love that between commercials, we see Addie in the reflection of the TV. Reflections and mirroring is a major theme in this movie, and they do it very subtly at times. So I think that's great. Russell has an interesting strategy for whack-a-mole. Man just banged the one hole over and over instead of trying to whack it where it popped up. And then he gets the Man Fuck Them Kids award for the movie because he just let Addie wander off. What the hell's that about? Creepy as hell when she's in the House of Mirrors and we hear the whistling that's not her, and we see she sees her doppelganger. And then the score that follows the credits and title card is very eerie. Don't need the internet. We've got the outernet. That's 100% Brian's brand of dad jokes. Like, I instantly thought of Brian when he said that.
I've got that. I've got that in my next set of scenes.
So great use of flashbacks here to see Addie's childhood after the weird encounter at the carnival, and a great job by Jason to guilt trip Addie into going to the beach. Hell yeah, my man, gaslighter, do it.
Fucking
Works every
right.
time.
Let's go.
Then another cool flashback moment when Addie sees herself in ballet outfit. It's a great job of establishing that there's something going on with her and that she's the central focus of the story. Overall, it's a very good set of opening scenes.
The family is heading to the beach, and Zora tinfoil hats us with fluoride in the water government mind control talk. The parents
She's
snap
right.
on Jason. Hey, man. Parents snap on Jason when he says anus and then turns it into laughter. They turn the radio on and jam to I Got Five on it, which is a great song. Gabe is excited to make it to Santa Cruz Beach, and Adelaide is clearly uneasy about being there. Flashback to her in the back seat as a child hearing her parents argue. We see the man from the beach that night with the Jeremiah 11:11 sign being taken away on a stretcher. Adelaide stares at the Vision Quest building and is uneasy. They join Kitty and Josh on the beach and talk about his new boat he got. Kitty tries to make small talk to no success. Kitty doesn't like her husband, saying she thinks about murdering him sometimes. Jason says he's going to the bathroom as Kitty says she thinks she could have been a movie star as Adelaide becomes overstimulated and hit by a frisbee. Jason sees a man in a red suit with green jacket standing awkwardly on the beach. Adelaide can't find Jason and becomes panicked. She runs to him and scolds him for not telling her he wandered off. Back at home, and Gabe is mad Josh got a new car. Adelaide tells Zora good night, then sits with Jason. They talk about earlier, and she kisses him good night. It's 11:11, bedtime. She grows concerned seeing Jason's drawing of himself looking at the man on the beach. Gabe gets in bed ready to make sexy time, but Adelaide says she wants to go. Being here feels like there's this black cloud hanging over her and she doesn't feel like herself. Gabe attempts to comfort her and she tells him the story of her wandering off. The girl was real. I ran as fast as I could. I felt like she is still coming after me. It feels like she's getting closer and closer. Gabe believes her, but is processing the information. He can't believe she kept this inside so long. He apologizes for the bad joke and the power goes out suddenly. Jason tells him there's a family in the driveway. We see them standing in the shadows. Adelaide is horrified and calls 911. Gabe tries to calm everyone down and goes outside to address the strangers. All right, Brian, next set of scenes, what'd you think?
Yeah, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I really wanted to address it in my last set of scenes, but I already ran my mouth too much, so I'll go ahead and say it here. Something Peele got absolutely 100% right in this movie was the family dynamic. Like, I love this family. Most of all, Mike, you hit it right on the head. Winston Duke as Gabe had me dying. And Dustin, that line, you don't need the internet, you have the outernet. Bro, I loved that so much that I used it on my son almost immediately.
Yeah, you did.
Almost immediately.
I knew
I'm
it.
not kidding. But the chemistry between these four, man, is amazing. And I can't say enough about how much I love watching this family just hang out. Like, I loved that little line thrown in there about the fluoride in the water, quote unquote, conspiracy theory. I put that in quotations because, more of those are coming true nowadays than not. But you don't get that in the first viewing. But, given the entire cloning and underground tunnel thing, like, its inclusion here was a nice little touch as well, especially on subsequent viewings. Maybe you can all kiss my anus. Another line that I cracked my ass up. I love it. I also fucking love the soundtrack. I got 5 on it. It came out when I was in 6th grade, right when listening to music was cool for me, and I was getting into it with Blackstreet and No Diggity and Dre's Keep the Heads Ringing. Anyway, this soundtrack's awesome. It made me and my 6th grade self smile many times throughout. But then we get the tethered family showing up, and my tension was pretty damn high right here. But again, like, it's kind of perfect that this scene by scene is broken up and ends right here, because up to this point, I absolutely loved this movie. But that changes right at the next set of scenes for me.
Yeah, you mentioned the family dynamic. I mean, absolutely. When you're watching this scene in the car, I think they nailed this. This feels like every other family road trip that I've been a part of. Again, I grew up mom, dad, and one sister. And this is very representative of what that looks like. Somebody's talking shit. Somebody normally gets in trouble. Everybody laughs. And then we sing a terrible song or a good song together like they did. Sometimes it's a terrible song. Not to be whatever, but normally if you're white, it's a bad song. Like, I don't know, some song from 1958 that everybody still knows. That's typically what it is. But I really like this scene, man. I think that Gabe is fucking hilarious. I think the kids are perfect here. And the fact that, Adelaide starts kind of snapping her fingers and getting everybody in to 5 on it together, I thought was really, really good stuff. And, like Brian mentioned, makes me really invest in the film already. We haven't spent a ton of time with this family, but already I'm interested in their fate. I want to know what's coming. They're at the beach. All the stuff at the beach is funny. And then, there's some not so funny stuff in there, but I do think that it's important to kind of set up something that happens later in the house, which is one of my favorite scenes in the entire film. But again, just, more, kind of more exposition. We're learning more about Adelaide's character. And then we get back to the house here and we learn exactly, we're peeking in on the first time she tells her husband about this story with the little girl at the pier, why she wants to leave the beach. I found that interesting. This is, not to harp on her too much here, but you're just now sharing this information. I know it was traumatizing or whatever, but I feel like I would have done this maybe before going to the beach. Just a thought. But I still think it's a really good conversation. Like I said, great character work, laying the groundwork. And you did end the scene by scenes at the perfect part here, because this is one of the creepiest shots in the entire film to me. It's this family in the driveway. I think it's shot perfectly. The lighting's great. And you get a little bit of comedy from Gabe here that I think kind of helps it. So all in all, I think, man, really another really strong set of scenes.
Kiss My Anus is hilarious. One thing about Jordan Peele, he knows how to write great dialogue and comedy in this one, just like all his movies. I got 5 on it. Certified bangers. Tip of the cap for that, too. We get our first casualty, and it's the guy from earlier who was holding that Jeremiah 11:11 sign. I think that's a really nice touch. I mean, that verse says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them." It's a great choice for the theme of this movie. Like, great. And Brian, you mentioned earlier how you wish that was explicitly stated. I kind of liked that they didn't. Like, I didn't mind doing that homework. Just because I think if they explicitly said it or stated it, put it in the movie, I don't know. I think it would have taken it away from it a little bit. It would have been too much in my face for my liking. I was a little confused by the dynamic of Addie and Kitty, because it seems like they've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
But this is the first time that Addie has ever said she hates small talk. Like, that's odd to me. It seems like something that she would have known about Addie from years prior. It's very unnerving to see the man on the beach and his arms outstretched, and it's brilliant how that plays out. I love that. Drawn back to the Bible verse earlier, the clock is at 11:11, which also plays on the themes of mirroring and twins. So that's another great touch, subtle. Now, I want y'all to go back and look at something here. When Gabe gets into bed, look how ridiculous it looks. That's a large man. And we're supposed to believe that he shares that bed with Addie? Be fucking for real. I've said it before, one of my biggest pet peeves in movies. I swear to God, the next time that we have a director on our show as we're interviewing them, I'm going to ask why they do that. It has to be a budget cut, but Jesus Christ, it can't be that much more expensive to get a normal-sized bed.
Well, I don't know, man. It's like these Bert and Ernie beds, I think maybe just fit in the screen. Like, I don't know if it's a budget thing. Like, I think it has something to do with making the room bigger.
It could be, but build a bigger fucking room.
Hey, listen, if the show You can have that king-size bed that everyone fucks in season 1, I think we're all right. Come on, get it together.
Yeah. Or, back the camera up a little bit. If you want to show more stuff in the room, you want to show some art and decor and some nightstands, back up a little bit. It drives me fucking crazy.
I would like to know the reason for that. So definitely ask a director next time we have one on.
All right, you'll have to remind me because I'll forget. I do love when Addie is talking to Gabe and telling him about the mirrors, like she's mirrored in the window. That's a great shot. So Addie is telling Gabe she wants to leave and tells him the story, but they've been coming to this house for years now. Like, this isn't their first time at this house. Why is it just now coming up?
That's my point.
That's one of my big issues with this movie.
Yeah.
It's not a huge issue, but it's just it's a little too convenient. I almost wish that this was the first time they've come to this beach house. Like, they just bought it and this is their first summer visiting. And when they meet Kitty and her husband, maybe I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but maybe him and Gabe are coworkers or something. This is the first time that Addie and Kitty have hung out. Like, that would make so much more sense to me than things happening the way they did. Very creepy when the family is in the driveway. They do a great job of building suspense and not revealing too much. Like, I love how all we see is shadows, so we don't know that it's them. So I think that is really well done. This is a very, very good set of scenes.
Like you mentioned, I wish it would have been just like a surprise he's taking her there. Like, because like it catches her off guard when like they want to go to the beach. So if it was just like a surprise visit, that would have worked really good too. Because like they own the house, like you're close to it anyway. So what the fuck does it matter?
It would have made sense if he like surprised her with this, because just like he surprised her with the boat, maybe he's like, hey, the boat came with the house. Just it wouldn't have been too far fetched for all of this to have been a surprise to her.
Yeah, I'm with you. Trying to have a vacation, my family lost their goddamn minds. He asks if he can help them, but no answer. He tells them to get off his property, but nothing. He goes back inside, down to call the cops now. They're 14 minutes away, and he asks for the baseball bat. Gabe goes back outside with a baseball bat and says, we can get crazy, and tells them cops are on their way. The intruding family splits up and heads toward the house. Zora goes to shut her window, and she sees someone climbing the tree. She sees a masked boy outside, and we hear someone whistle the itsy bitsy spider. One of the invaders gets the key from outside and unlocks the door. Gabe tries to fend them off, but the bat is taken from him, and he's hit in the leg. Windows are broken, and the others make their way inside. The invaders are their doppelgangers. Everyone takes a seat. Jason says, it's us. Red begins speaking of a girl with a shadow. The shadow hated the girl until one day the shadow realized she was being tested by God. Gabe asks what they want and offers money, his car, the boat. Abraham roars at him. Pluto handcuffs Adelaide to the table, and Red threatens to cut Gabe with the scissors. Adelaide begs for them to not hurt her children. Gabe has his glasses taken by Abraham, who drags him off the couch and stabs his leg with the scissors. Abraham drags him at the house. Red tells Zora to run and has Umbre chase after her down the street. Red threatens Adelaide that Pluto has a temper. Abraham continues pursuing Gabe menacingly. She tells Jason to show him one of your tricks as the boys leave the room. Red laughs at Adelaide as Jason takes Pluto to the closet. Abraham knocks Gabe out with a punch. Jason and Pluto light matches in the closet, and Jason fails to ignite his lighter. They remove their mask, and we see Pluto's scarred face. Zora hides behind a neighbor's car, and Umbre appears on the other side. Umbre is on top of the car now, and the man yells at her to get off the car. Zora seizes the moment to run away, and Umbre stabs him to death with the scissors. Adelaide asks Red what she wants. Red grabs her hair and shoves her head into the table, saying, "This is the day of the untethering." All right, Brian, this is the next set of scenes. What'd you think?
The first time I watched this entire sequence, I thought, dude, this has gone way more than 15 minutes. Is the Haddonfield Police Department? Like, what the fuck's going on? But obviously, once we find out it's gone prestige worldwide, that makes much more sense. And again, Duke killing that line, trying to have a vacation, but my family lost their goddamn minds, kills it. It's not to the point in the movie at all where I think the comedy hurts it at all. I think it's perfect still because he doesn't feel like he's in danger yet. And this first encounter does get my blood pressure pumping. I do have to ask now, knowing the end, where the hell do all these fucking upside down tethered get all these scissors? Also couldn't help but notice that no guns were featured in this entire movie, and one gun would have solved all of these problems if all they're armed with is scissors. Just throwing that out there. But then again, we would, or you know what I just thought about? They should have all had rocks, rocks crush scissors. Anyway, sorry. Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah, that fucking sucked.
Just throwing that out.
That one probably looked better on paper.
Oh, I liked it. I like it. Anyway, but then we wouldn't have had it if they all had guns. I mean, we wouldn't have had suspense in the movie unless you made them super strong. And that's another thing. Like, I couldn't decide throughout if they were. Like, there were some moments where I thought they seemed a little bit super strong, but I couldn't really tell. And it was harped home that they were the same as their counterparts. So I don't know. I guess not. But I did like Gabe getting almost disabled right off the bat because of how big he was and how he would have fucking owned these folks with the bat. So I'm kind of glad they handicapped him a little bit with his knee or wherever he got hit in the leg. And now, look, another huge issue that I had is that Red, after being stolen and having her life basically taken from her by the tethered Adelaide, when she first had her handcuffed to that table, I just can't wrap my head around Red's first words not being something like, "You took my life from me." But this explanation as to like who the tethered are, that's great and all for us. But Adelaide already knows that. And Red knows that she knows that. So the point was obviously for the audience. And I just didn't care for that now that I've seen the movie. But anyway, also Pluto just tossed that match into the fireplace. Was there gas poured first? I don't know, because it lit pretty damn quick. And I'm just saying, I've never seen one do that. And lastly, just a cool little anecdote here. Lupita based Red's voice on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Sorry, every time I say Red, I think of Red Foreman from that 70s show. But specifically, the spasmodic dysphonia that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suffers from. That's what she based her voice on. So I've got more issues, but I'm gonna go ahead and just touch on them later if y'all don't get them here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I definitely like more about this set of scenes than I don't. Now, there's a few minor nitpicks, but I love the introduction of this tethered family. I think they're creepy. I will say, I think that the girl is probably the creepiest to me. Like, facial expressions, the way her hair is, the way her eyes look, very, very creepy. Shout out to Lupita, whose voice with Red here is phenomenal. Like, it's a really creepy, scary thing. And whether it's supposed to be or not, like, I know why, or we find out why at the very end of the movie, why her voice is like that. But at first, it just looks like something creepy that maybe happens to all the tethered, which I found, very scary, very, very creepy and interesting. And I do think, like, a lot of the what I would call the chasing of each other, I think is done really well. Again, I mentioned it in my opening set of scenes, but all the stuff shot in the dark in this film, I think really helps it. But makes it scarier, makes it creepier, because we get some stuff in the daytime that I don't think works as well. Even the stuff underground in the tunnels with the lights, I don't think it works as well as shooting it in the dark. And for some reason, that adds a lot to it for me. I do think the two, the two boys in the closet, but I do think those two mirroring each other is interesting and very telling, foreshadowing for later. So I did like how they set that up about how, he's following his hand and the lighter and all that stuff. I think it was a really good job. And I actually really like Adelaide and Red and they're back and forth here on this table. I think it works very creepy. But you're right, Brian. We get no real speech or anything from Red. Like, you took my whole life from me. Like, you fucking ruined everything. Like, I've been eating rabbits underground for the last 30 years or whatever. No acknowledgement of that early on. And I know they were trying to set up that twist, but I feel like just natural, especially because she lived, 9-10 years above the surface. Like, she should know, well enough. Like, hey, you know what I know. I know who you are. You know who I am. Like, I want to expose you to your whole family. Like, that would have been the first thing I did, was expose Adelaide to her whole family. And that doesn't happen, which I found a little odd. So just a small nitpick there. It doesn't ruin everything for me, but I do think it is an error in how I would have done it.
Yeah, so when he asked them if he could help them and they just stand there silently, yeah, I'd go back inside. Fuck that. When Gabe does go back inside, that was hilarious. You could hear in his voice, he got a little bit more bass in it, and he's acting hard. Pause. It was great. Really wish he could have said nuts instead of crazy, though. Shout out to Batman 89. I know Brian agrees when he says, you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. Missed opportunity. Then we hear the whistling, and it's the same whistling that we hear as a kid when Addie went into the Hall of Mirrors. Yeah, now I'd definitely be freaked out. Gabe getting kneecapped with his own bat is disappointing. Come on, man. Got to do better. Got to do better. When we see the other family and they look just like our protagonist, that's an oh shit moment. I mean, we saw Addie's doppelganger earlier in the movie, but now there's 4. It's a great revelation. Then Red starts speaking. First watch, it's confusing and annoying that her voice sounds like that to me, honestly. But they do a great job of explaining it later, and it's incredible. Gabe went out sad. I mean, sad. Just got manhandled and drug out and didn't even put up a fight. Just yelled and screamed like a bitch. Be a man. Great shots of tears streaming down Addie's cheeks here. Very reminiscent of Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. Zora definitely not making the Olympics, though. She had like a 300-yard head start on Umbre, and she still caught up to her. Pick a new dream, folks. It's over. I love the cat and mouse game between the two, though, at the car. That was awesome. Great reflective shot of Addie and Red and the glass on the table. Again, going back to that theme from earlier. To me, this is the best set of scenes so far. It's very tense throughout.
Abraham is driving the boat, and Gabe rips open an eye hole as the motor craps out. Abe starts molly-whopping the motor and shrieks at others. Gabe Barry bonds him with the bat until the motor fires up on its own and he falls in. That's the second review in a row I've said Barry bonds somebody. Hell yeah. Abraham almost grabs him until the boat drives off, dragging him away with his tangled foot. Jason frightens Pluto with a lighter and escapes out the closet, trapping Pluto in there. Red goes to check on the ruckus as Adelaide tries to get free. Pluto is let out the closet. Red finds a stuffed rabbit and cuts its head off. Gabe swims towards the boat as Adelaide desperately reaches for a fire poker. She breaks a wooden board as Abraham grabs a hold of Gabe. Gabe smacks the motor, cranking it up. The propeller cuts Abraham's lower torso to shreds. Adelaide finds Jason, and the two run to the car, but no keys. Zora joins them, and they run to Gabe in the boat. They load up and cruise away from Red and Pluto. Power surges at Josh and Kitty's, and Kitty says she heard someone walking around outside and asks him to check it out. She demands he check, and he has the lights turned on. He says he's serious, something is out there. Then he jokes it's O.J. Simpson. He has Ophelia turn the Beach Boys on. Their girls ask, what's going on? Suddenly their tethered version appear and stab them, killing them. Kitty is the only survivor and reaches out for help, but gets swerved. She asks Ophelia to call the police, but it plays fuck the police instead. She has her throat slit as Adelaide knocks on their door. She quickly realizes something's wrong and slams the fire poker into his head. Gabe has the kids run as he's pursued by Tex. The kids go in the home and see the dead parents. They hear noises from upstairs and they grab a weapon. Zora hits a tethered sister in the face with a golf club and she falls over the ledge onto a table. She bludgeons the other sister to death with the golf club. Dahlia is applying makeup to herself playfully as we see Adelaide handcuffed to the bed. Dahlia doesn't kill her and cuts her own face with the scissors. Tex follows Gabe onto the boat and Gabe distracts him with a flare. The two fight as Dahlia cries and laughs watching it from above. Zora takes too long to hit Dahlia and she's pinned to the bed until Jason hits her in the head with the rock decoration. All right, Brian, so next set of scenes, what'd you think?
The whole Gabe and the boat thing, the music cues, him falling out of the boat. Abraham getting pulled away just before he got Gabe. Like it just all seemed played more for laughs than horror, and that's not really what I personally wanted there. I did appreciate the setup with the boat leaning left, which obviously allowed this to happen here, where it circled back around at him. But I don't know, it seemed more for gags and horror, and like I said, I could have done without it. There was just no suspense here for me. Also, I kind of still don't get the Pluto and Jason thing. Like, why does Jason have control over Pluto with him mimicking everything he does, but nobody else's counterpart does? Like, which, I mean, that in itself is kind of confusing because it clearly shows.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say it's not said in the movie, so you were 100% right. But Jordan Peele did explain it eventually that those two are more linked than any of the other two. Don't know. I don't remember exactly why he said they are, but he did say it in the commentary on the DVD. So
that in itself is kind of confusing because it shows the tethered in the hallways like doing what their counterparts were doing. But why is that only? So why is that only sometimes? I mean, I guess is there an explanation for that? I don't know, because otherwise, what happens when one like ups and leaves town? I mean, does the tethered one go too just underground? I don't know. I mean, I realize that wasn't the case with Red Foreman and Adelaide, but obviously that makes sense because of the role reversal there. I almost kind of wish that wasn't in the movie at all. Like, just have them be a society of ill-fortuned, left to fend for themselves instead of being tethered to their living counterparts like that. It almost would have made more sense for me anyway. Anyway, I really did like the scene at Tyler's. Like, aside for the first ones, this one really felt horror. And, we spent enough time with these people at the beach that they weren't just fodder up to the, to bring up the body count. Like, I really did love this part. This family definitely gets across what Peele was trying to say, I think, with the Jeremiah 11:11 thing, because it really feels like that they worship their things, their booze, their technology, their idols. And, the fuck the police thing was hilarious. And so it's just, again, the cuts here by Peele are mesmerizing. That's all I had for the set of scenes.
Yeah, I'm with you on the boat. And I'll be honest, I don't love the decision to kill Abraham this early. I thought again, we're an hour in, so early is relative. It's a 2-hour film. So halfway through, we're already kind of killing off what I think is one of the main villains. I thought it was a little early for me. And the scene isn't my favorite. It's a cool looking kill. Don't get me wrong. So no big complaints. I don't know. I'm with you. It took a little bit of levity out of it for me. I love everything inside the house. I think I already touched on it. I think that's really good old school horror shit. Like, it feels like a home invasion mixed with slasher. I think they do a great job with these characters' tethered counterparts. Like, I think they're very creepy, played very well. I think everything with Tyler and Kitty is really good. And I think even though, like you mentioned, they're very materialistic people. So while we spend a lot of time with them at the beach, they're not our favorite people, or at least they certainly weren't my favorite people. So while I don't think they're fodder, I do think their deaths here hold just enough weight where, like, yeah, we know these characters. Oh shit, this shit's getting serious. But also it's not so much of consequence where I'm upset about it. I'm sad about it. I think the two girls and their, those counterparts, that kill, you mentioned Jordan Peele's cuts, Brian, when he cuts outside of the house for that kill. And it's, sounds like it's from far away. That's fucking awesome, man. It is so good. And the throat slit one as well. I think, perfect cut, really good. Fuck the police, which I've seen people complain about, that it takes away from a serious kill. I just don't agree with that. Like, I think it works really, really well, especially because something else that Brian mentioned, his family's so reliant on their technology and their things. It failed them in this moment, where she tried to call the police on it and instead says, fuck the police. Like, I thought it was a really nice touch personally. And I do think a lot of the chase stuff with Jason and, and Ombre and everybody else, like, I think it's good. It's a little long, but I think it's good. And I wasn't a big fan of the kill, so to speak, on Dahlia anyway. I would have rather had that be different. But no, I mean, all in all, I love most of everything inside this house. I think it's the most horror thing we get in the film.
good on Gabe for finally fighting back here. It was funny when Abraham got pulled off by the rope and the boat, and Gabe didn't even know it, and he didn't know he was close to getting got. That was a great shot. Addie was in there struggling with the handcuffs, but to me, the logical thing to do here is to flip the table and stomp the leg and break it off. Like, unless that's the sturdiest table ever made, that would have been pretty easy to do. I don't understand why she did do that. Josh is such an asshole. He and Kitty have such a healthy relationship. That's good to see. I laughed at their dynamic there. When their when their kids are stabbed, I love how that was shot. We panned outside in the house and it's silent. That was fantastic. I like that a lot. And then Tex is such an asshole when he reaches for Kitty to help her and then pulls his hand back. Jordan Peele's writing of the characters is so good to me. Also, I love the whole call the police, fuck the police mix up. I don't understand why anyone would hate that. I thought it was hilarious. It made me chuckle. I get Jason being scared, so he puts his mask on. But kid, you're going to need more logic. You need your peripheral vision in this situation. That's not smart. Very tense when Dahlia gets in Addie's face with the scissors, and the score is just perfect for that scene. Another great comedic moment when Gabe tries to shoot Tex with the flare gun and misses. Like, that was fucking hilarious. Perfect time to break up the tension in this set of scenes. Overall, it's a great set of scenes to me. The action and pacing are great, and we progress the story nicely.
Are we just going to gloss over the fact that the name of that boat was Biatch? Did you see it? That shit was awesome. I was like, oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah, that's all you, brother.
Guess we are glossing over it, goddamn.
All right, Gabe joins them saying the boats are done. They call the police, but all operators are busy. They watch the news and see it's going on all over the city. A witness speaks on her ordeal, saying they're coming from the sewers. Reporters say they're all wearing red with scissors. We see a live shot of the tethered hand in hand across the streets. Adelaide says they need to leave and go to Mexico. Gabe says we have everything we need here. They think like us. They know where we are. Gabe wants to home alone the house. Adelaide says this has been planned and he isn't making decisions anymore. Gabe nods in approval, taking Josh's cool car. Adelaide realizes the tethered sister from the table is missing. She runs to the key fob and hits the girl with a cast iron skillet. She pounces on Adelaide, but she grabs a pair of the scissors, killing her, Jason walking in as it happens. Zora says she's driving while Gabe flexes the highest kill count. We see Umbre at the end of the driveway, and Zora smashes the gas pedal. Umbre ninja walks on top of the car and stabs into the sunroof. Zora hits the gas again, turning on the wipers to distract her. She hits the brakes again, launching her from the windshield. Adelaide leaves the car and finds Umbre dying in the trees. She gets back in the car and is driving now. They make it into town, and we see all the dead bodies in the streets and in cars. Adelaide stops, seeing their car on fire in the middle of the road. She backs up and exits the car, seeing Pluto in the road. She reaches out to him, and he reveals his burnt face. Jason says it's a trap and to get out. Pluto reveals the match, but Jason begins walking backwards, and Pluto backs into the fire. Red abducts Jason as the family yells out for him. Adelaide is on the beach, and we see long lines of tethered people holding hands. She goes back into the Hall of Mirrors, which haunted her childhood. She opens the door, and a rabbit escapes. She goes down several sets of steps until she's in a giant hallway with rabbits roaming. Gabe and Zora find an ambulance, and she sees the line of tethered people. Adelaide finds Red in a classroom at the chalkboard, drawing a line of tethered people. Red gives her a speech on humans that built this place, who made copies of people's bodies, but not their souls. They failed and abandoned the tethered. All right, Brian, what do you think on that set of scenes? The next set is the ending.
Yeah, kind of going back to the last set of scenes, like, I understand why Red would toy or at least not immediately kill Adelaide, but why would Dahlia not immediately kill her? Like, it's showing everyone else all over the world, at least we're assuming that they're immediately killing people. Why did she stop and then start cutting her face instead of killing her? It didn't seem consistent with what we were getting everywhere else.
Yeah, so I don't know that it's ever explicitly stated, but apparently the tether can only kill their above ground version of themselves. Like,
well,
if you
that's
know,
not true. But the little daughter jumped up on the car and then killed the neighbor whenever he walked out. Like, that was shown on screen.
That's a good point. I read that somewhere, that was the thinking, or that was the logic, but that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And Josh and Kitty's kids attacked Umbre or Zora and Jason.
Zora, yeah.
Umbre
Well, they
is
attacked,
the,
but didn't kill.
but they
And
were
then
going.
even when
I figured they would have though.
Yeah. Well, even when Jason, mollywops the girl with the statue there, we don't know that she's actually dead. Well, never mind. The above
Well, I
ground
mean,
can't kill the tethered.
Adelaide kills one of the tethered sisters,
Yeah, so they can kill the
Dude.
tethered, but
but she's
and
also
again,
tethered.
this is
So
this is
that's
the
yeah.
tethered can be killed by anyone, but that logic's already debunked because, like Brian said.
Yeah.
So never mind. I guess disregard.
Anyway, when they're watching TV and we see that it's nationwide, not the insurance, but again, you have to suspend your disbelief there because I mean, look, I'm sorry to keep harping on it, but as many guns as there are in the U.S., these tethered folks would be mowed down with haste. I mean, you've definitely got to suspend disbelief there because this whole hold hands thing is nationwide, right? Not just California where they don't like guns. But I love the Home Alone reference. That got a chuckle out of me. But like I said at the start, the arguing over the kill count. I mean, that's some horror comedy, Zombieland type stuff. And I guess that I wasn't expecting that from this movie. But while I've given credit where credit's due to Jordan Peele, I want to also shout out Mike Goulikas, the director of photography for the movie. He's done It Follows and Old as well as a ton of music videos. And still, Mike Goulikas is somehow the second richest Mike on this podcast tonight.
Ooh. The sunburn wasn't even worth it, pal. No. Okay. So, look, I do think this set of scenes runs a little long for me. It's not that I don't like it or find it enjoyable, but I feel like we're kind of at the point where I'm ready to get to everything that's going on here. So everything with Zora and Umbre and all that, like, I do think Umbre is still the scariest tethered person. Like, she did a great job being so fucking freaky, man. Like, I think she's the scariest one. She's fast. She can jump every fucking where. Like, I really enjoy the character. But yeah, I mean, arguing over the kill count, Brian, I do think is maybe it doesn't work in the movie because the movie hasn't been any of that up to this point, but it feels almost meta in that moment. Like they almost know they're in a horror film a little bit, or they're in like a horrible situation that requires, hey, we're fucking killing people. How many did you kill? Like, I feel like there's a little bit of meta writing from Jordan Peele. And honestly, when this movie's made, and maybe I'm overreaching here, but kill counts, like as in Dead Meat James's kill count videos, were starting to get popular around the time of this film. Very, very popular. So it's in the vernacular. It's in the pop culture consciousness, which I know that's a term everyone really fucking loves. But anyway, I understand what you're saying. It didn't, bother me because I love that kind of shit, but I completely understand. I will say I wish they had kept this whole scene with Jason and his tethered here in the, at least at like the sunrise. It's pretty damn light outside already. Like I just didn't love that. And they at least set it up earlier by them being more tethered to each other than the others. So I think it's a cool kill. They set it up the whole movie, and I think it was pretty well done. Last thing here, all this, for lack of a better term, exposition dump from Red and why the tethered are the way they are and how they got abandoned and all of this stuff, I feel just takes way too long, like I'm taking right now. But I feel like we didn't really need it all. Like we got enough of an explanation where like everything's making enough sense where I don't need this 8-minute diatribe, just me personally. I understand what they're trying to hit at, but it just kind of didn't land for me and took a little too long, again, like I'm doing now. Go ahead, Dustin.
Love Looney's playing again here. I'm a big fan of a particular song becoming a theme in a movie, and when it comes up again later, like it's just perfect. And in a film full of kids being in danger, the biggest parenting fail of the movie is Zora not knowing what Home Alone is. Unreal. The fuck is that? Big oh shit moment when one of the feral daughters comes back to life and attacks Addie. That was a great way to crank the tension back up. Zora trying to drive is very typical teenage behavior. I do love that she referenced kill counts here. Like, Shout out Dead Meat James. I liked it. I don't care that it was too on the nose or too ha-ha and didn't fit. No, it worked for me. I love Gabe being a Captain Obvious here. She stabbed through the sunroof, and he says, she's right there. You think? Gabe is Brian Hathaway. Like, he's just, it's Brian. And I love it. Great shots of carnage as Addie's driving into town. It's a little confusing how Pluto got there, though. Like, he's on foot. They're driving. And they arrive at the same time, or he even beats them there. I'll allow it, though. Like, I won't look too much into that. Great shot when Red stands up in the background beside Jason. Like, the colors blend perfectly with the vehicle parked there. And so
Yes.
I thought that was awesome.
Awesome.
We see the line of people holding hands at the beach, and holy shit, that's a lot. And I love the callback with the guy from earlier who was just solo on the beach. Now he's got people joined him. That's really awesome stuff. It shows that they have a purpose. He was just the first to complete his mission, and so he's waiting for the rest. I thought that was awesome. Addie going into the place where it all started had to be traumatic for her. We're starting to get into my questions of the movie here, though, but most of them are in the next set of scenes. But this tunnel has been here all this time and just now become noticed or found by someone, and it's just now a problem. All those alternate characters were down there the whole time, and they just now started to surface. Like, how? Why? And as far down as she went, Addie either found hell or ended up in China. Like, that's a deep hole in the ground. What the hell's going on there? I like that we see the rabbit room from the opening credits here. Makes that matter and not just be something that was there for optics in the opening credits. So I thought that was good. This is a really good set of scenes to me, and it sets us up to go home.
Hey, really quick, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I didn't like the look of the tunnels. Like, for whatever reason, it looked like an old school. For some reason, like the whole thing looked like an old school with a bunch of classrooms, and for whatever reason, it just looked like a very sterile, not scary environment to me. That was just a personal preference of mine.
So I get why they look like an old school or whatever when we find out that it was an experiment they were conducting.
Sure.
But they've been abandoned for years. So my issues to your comment there would be, why does this place still have power run to it? Like, why wouldn't they just cut all the lights and leave them down there? And it's not dirty. Like, yeah, it doesn't look scary. It looks like like they hired a janitor to go down there and clean every so often. Like, I didn't like that. And if they've been down there eating all these rabbits, where's the blood? Where's the bones of these rabbits they've been eating? I get what you're saying.
Where are they using the bathroom at?
Heather, don't shit, brother.
Where they give birth to kids?
They got no buttholes. They don't shit.
Hey, Tether Don't Shit is a great T-shirt, Brian. Fuck it up. Let's go.
All right, guys, here's the ending. Flashback to Pops playing the carnival game, and we see their tethered version imitating them from below. God brought us together that night. After her dance, the tether knew she was different and would lead them out of here. Red cuts the paper tethered from each other and begins dancing in the classroom. The two fight now, Red stabbing her hand with the scissors. Red is whooping ass and exits the room. Adelaide pursues and sees her sitting. Round 2 commences, but Red is shifty as hell. She stabs Adelaide in the core, hobbling her. Adelaide uses her spidey sense and stabs the fire poker through Red. Red begins whistling until Adelaide wraps the cuffs around her neck, snapping it. Adelaide begins chuckling and frees herself from the cuffs. She gets Jason free from a locker, confirming it's her. Everything is going to be like it was before as they press hands together. They join Gabe and Zora in the ambulance and drive away. Flashback to the meeting with the doctor, and it's revealed that Adelaide was attacked by Red in the mirror house. She was dragged below amongst the tethered and their bodies swapped. Her throat was damaged and she couldn't speak. The clone version left her below and joined her parents. Adelaide and Jason share an awkward stare and she smiles at him. He pulls his mask down and we see overhead shots of them driving away and a long line of tethered people across the countryside. The film ends with shots of the country and helicopters flying above. Brian, what did you think about the ending?
Oh, it was just okay. It was more confusing and disappointing at first than anything, as far as I was concerned. But I mean, kind of going back to Jeremiah 11:11, Dustin quoted the exact passage. The whole book of Jeremiah basically warns against worshiping false idols and warns that with retribution you'll be forsaken and God won't come to your aid. Basically the main theme of Jeremiah is pending judgment. And, it's definitely true that the message of the movie is up for interpretation, but I believe it's a good message, while hinting at humanity's impending judgment because of our serving false idols and, such as technology and ourselves, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's also a statement against judging others who are different than us. And instead, it should be ourselves we take a good hard look at. Sequel wise, Dustin's going to love this. I mean, there's a lot of left on the bone here. Pause. Like, we have a lot of those underground tunnels still here. Apparently a shitload of tethered if they can hold hands from coast to fucking coast. And, all the questions I mentioned earlier, we never found out the answers to. Now, I mean, let me preface this by saying I don't want to see a sequel. But I'm just saying that there's definitely a lot of unexplored in this one that you could do if Peele really wanted to. But, I mean, that's all I really had on the ending. I mean, it was so-so to me.
I feel like you could do, maybe it's not so much a sequel. Well, I guess it has no choice but to be a sequel if you do this. But a movie within that tethered universe, I think, would be interesting. However, my stance on prequels are generally answering questions I wasn't asking. So don't listen to me, Jordan Peele. Keep making very original content. Yeah, I like the ending. Like, I do, I really love the fight or whatever with Red and Adelaide. Like, I think it's shot really well. Like I mentioned, the fucking string version of 5 on It is incredible. I love it. I love their back and forth. And you really do see, and, not upon the first watch, but as you continue to watch this film, how calm Red is the entire fight and how crazy Adelaide is the entire fight. And they're kind of setting you up there, letting you, as you watch it now, that makes sense because we know the ending. The ending, she switched. She choked the real Adelaide and drug her down, to the depths of hell there, as Dustin mentioned, or, China, wherever, and switched. And, evil, too. Like, made her, handcuffed her to the bed, woke her up, or waited till she woke up, put her clothes on, and made her watch her walk out. That is some evil shit. So we know now that this Adelaide is just pretty fucking evil, as it has been trying to suppress it. So I did like the twist. I think the twist works, even though, like I mentioned earlier in the film, they could, you can't really ignore the fact that why didn't the real Adelaide say something about it to her family already? Like, I feel like that's something I would have, sold her out on very early. But that's just me. Look, and I do think it's a good death with the fire poker. And I like, one, I think it's funny as fuck that they get out in an ambulance, of course. That's funny. But two, the look that her and Jason give at each other is interesting. There's all kinds of things online about how he's a tethered too, and I don't buy that personally. Like, if he is, then they didn't set that up very well, in my opinion. He just knows there's something off about his mom because he's scared of her when she opens a locker. Like, he's seen her do some horrible shit now multiple times. So I just think that's all that is. Like, maybe you're not exactly who you say you are, but I can't really do anything about that. So all in all, sorry, Nico, you go ahead after this. I thought the ending was really solid. Like, I thought it was a good explanation, and I liked the twist quite a bit.
No, before you go, Dustin, I was just going to say, like, there is a fan theory that Jason is the tethered version, but Jordan Peele himself said that that's not the case. Like, he explained the entire family out, and he said Jason was just like more in tune with with his mom and all that. That's all, or Adelaide, excuse me.
All right. So first of all, before I get into this last set of scenes, I don't know why, but Nico, when you said that God brought us together that night, in my mind, I immediately went to Pam saying, "I feel God in this Chili's" from The Office. Like, that popped into my head.
I don't get the reference.
She is still banned from the Chili's.
We know, Nick.
Yeah. Our second spinoff is coming. Nico's never seen it. And it's just him watching a bunch of classic shit he's missed.
I don't have time. I can't do 3 pods. I'm saying no already.
You make a lot of money on that one, Nico, I think.
So we get the explanation here. They're basically clones. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. But one of my biggest questions of the whole movie, how did objects appear like the Thriller shirt? How did things spawn without having to be made? Like that part doesn't make sense to me. I get the movements and stuff, like what happens above, they mimic below, like mimicking the riding of the roller coaster because they're tethered. But the object spawning is a little bit too much for me to accept. They're essentially in a lab. But anyway, we see the Hold Hands Across America shirt, and that makes the line make sense, and why they're all dressed in red. Like, that's great. But again, where'd they get these red jumpsuits? Red jumpsuit apparatus? I don't know. I don't get it. Then here's what I mentioned earlier. I Got Five on It comes back into the mix with an incredible orchestra acapella or instrumental version. I love it. And I love the cuts of the ballet dance intertwined with it. Like, that's great editing. That's an incredible scene. The final showdown between Addie and Red is incredible. We get great choreography and cinematography there. It's just elite work. In the ambulance later, we get one final oh shit moment. Addie has these flashbacks, and we see that she's actually the tethered one. She pulled the old switcheroo with the real Addie. That's a great twist. And we see that she strangled Addie, which explains why Red's voice was so raspy. It also explains why Red was different from the other tethered and able to devise this plan. I thought that was great. Oh, boy. Then we get a great shot of Jason looking at his mom like he knows something's up, and he puts his mask on because he's scared. Like, that's what he does when he's scared. So I think that's very well done. We close with an awesome shot of the line of tethered holding hands across the country, and it's just incredible. I know Brian probably hated looking at the mountains and trees, but I loved it. I thought that was a great shot. To me, it's a very solid ending to a very solid movie. I didn't have, like I said, the more I watch it, the less questions I have, and the more I can appreciate the movie.
What do you hate more, nature shots or A24?
There's
Yes.
a few that use both, so that's that's a tough day for you.
Yeah, we need an A24 movie that just like follows a guy hiking. Like,
I got it. An A24 film about Stanley Kubrick's life. Let's go.
yeah,
As long as
Brian
Kubrick
will
doesn't make it, be all right.
Oh, they're going to make it just like a Kubrick film, pal.
yeah, shot in the style of Stanley Kubrick.
Fun facts now, please.
Yeah, social media. Let's do Twitter, X first. Randy Smith commented, I didn't love it as much as Get Out, but I didn't hate the movie either. Pretty cool premise. I agree with you, Randy. We'll jump over to IG now, Instagrams. Making X2 commented, I like Us, but I find Jordan Peele's work is rather pretentious, especially with Nope. What do you think of Jordan Peele as a director? I don't think he's pretentious. I just think he has his style and the way he does things. And yeah, I think he's brilliant as well. I just don't love everything he does, if that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate the fact that at least he does unique stuff, and that is, I do appreciate that. It's just, it's not for everybody, which no movie is. So I don't really agree that it's pretentious, though.
I love Jordan Peele. I think that he's one of the brightest minds going. I like his movies actually in the order they were released. Now, when I first saw Nope, I went to see it in the theater. I didn't love Nope, and I liked it more than Us, though. But since I watched Nope, I've watched this movie a few times, and I like Us. I like Us a lot more. So I actually like them Get Out, then Us, then Nope. But I think they're all very solid movies. So maybe I'm the wrong person to ask that question because I'm not going to side with you. Jordan Peele's awesome.
I will say this. I like a lot of the writing in all three of those movies because there is subtext. There's something a little deeper there. But I don't necessarily think it like smashes you in the face with like, this movie's trying to say something else. Like, I think it's it's hidden in plain sight. Like, I don't think it's so deep I need to write a whole essay about it. Like, you know what this movie's about by watching it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But all three also work as just a simple story too. So I really like a lot of Jordan Peele's writing, and I think he's a really good director. So yeah, I'm a big fan. But
And to go with what you said there, see, that was my problem with Nope. I feel like Nope was too subliminal. Like there was so much deeper shit that wasn't really explained, that he was trying, too many hidden messages that to be honest with you, they kind of went over my head, and I still have questions about Nope a couple years later.
All right, we'll do Facebook now, and that's it. Michelle Merza, big fan of the show, commented, I just watched this one for the first time not too long ago. I love his movies. They always keep me interested, and there's always a message. That is true. Christina Tower commented, hey guys, I'm very excited you guys are reviewing this movie. I watched this movie a few years after it came out and was interested in it because of how much I enjoyed Get Out and Nope. The acting was phenomenal, and the story was definitely something different. It is one of those movies that can stay with you for a while, even after you watch it. I made the mistake of watching this movie at night and not being able to sleep at night. The story was disturbing and would fit right in as a Twilight Zone story. Peele has established himself as an incredible filmmaker. His ability to tell an interesting story with compelling characters, but also have something to say, has me looking forward to what he does next. Stay safe. Appreciate that. Appreciate the long comment. I like that. Like, tell us how you feel. I like hearing how our fans feel about movies we're reviewing. And the last comment we have is from Meg Stone. Love this movie. It is my favorite of Jordan Peele's movies. The visuals are beautiful, surreal almost, and just uncomfortable in the best way. His storytelling is incredible. I appreciate that comment. Y'all got any fun facts? Dustin, Brian, y'all want to kick us? Dustin, you got any fun facts?
I got a couple. I don't think that these were said. I was trying to pay attention in here, but I don't think these were said. So Jordan Peele gave the cast 11 horror films to watch so they would have a, quote, shared language when filming. So the movies were Jaws, Dead Again, The Shining, The Babadook, It Follows, A Tale of Two Sisters, The Birds, Funny Games, Martyrs, Let the Right One In, and The Sixth Sense. So that's pretty cool.
Babadook's a good movie.
I need to rewatch it, man, because like I said in our text, I've been aligning with you a lot more lately on elevated horror, so I need to go back, brother. We may be in that one together. I don't know.
Heyo.
Last one I got is during this one. This one kills me. During filming of the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, the rides were all filmed with dummies. Then CGI was used to create moving people. To me, it seems like it would be a hell of a lot cheaper to hire extras for a little while to ride those rides than to pay a company to do CGI after the fact. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would even do it for free, just be like, hey, look, that's me in the background. I'm on that ride. Like, you can pay extras, peanuts. So I don't know. That was a crazy choice to me.
This movie was made for a cool $20 million, and in the United States and Canada, grossed $175.1 million and $80.1 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $255.2 million against, like I said, a budget of $20 million. So, hey, the Jordan Peele movies keep crushing it. Probably going to keep greenlighting those scripts. So that's, man, $20 million. I thought it would be a little bit higher than that. I'm not going to lie. Like, it felt like a much bigger budgeted film than Get Out did.
Well, a lot of the movies either in a house or just on a beach, though. So, I mean, it's not like they're doing too much. But I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of people holding hands. And, no, I feel you. Let's jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. I'll just go first. Favorite kill, I kind of struggle with this because one of my biggest qualms is I don't like the kills. You got a rated R movie, and I felt like they were kind of neutered considering what was going on. But my favorite kill, I'll go with Josh and Kitty's two girls getting stabbed up top, just because it caught me off guard the first time I watched it. I really liked the tethered twins appearing and killing them. Least favorite kill, I could pick from several of them, honestly. I didn't like Kitty's kill. I guess I'm the only one who didn't, but I hated the swerve, like when he hit the hand. I hated that. Like it was a really dark, tense scene. I wanted you to just kill her. I didn't like Abraham's kill. Like I felt like he should have died with a baseball bat and then getting drugged in the water. I feel like he should have drowned. I didn't like real Adelaide's death. You spent your whole life preparing for this, and you charge her and get stabbed once. Didn't like that kill either. And I didn't like Pluto's. Big. And I didn't. Yeah, it was too big. She pissed down her leg. And I didn't like Pluto's kill because, like, I didn't. One of my qualms in this movie is the tether doing what the original is doing too conveniently. Like they've been chasing each other, doing all this shit all night of being pursued.
Right.
But now Jason has the power to back up and Pluto follows him into the fire. A little too convenient for me personally, but I'll repeat some of my positives. It looks great. The acting is great. Lupita, she kills it. All of the actors who have doubles, they kill it. They do great. There are some funny moments that I appreciate. The score is great. 5 on it. It's perfectly used. But just like there's too many moments of comedy that I just didn't like, that was just out of place. I felt like the dad should have been the man of the house more often. Like I feel like he got bossed around by his wife a little too much. Like I mentioned, Jason and Pluto. I didn't like how convenient the tethered could take advantage of their original. I didn't like how we mentioned earlier how some would just go and kill their people immediately, but then they would like play with their food a lot. That just bothered me. Like, they've been planning this whole trip to get out from this underground cell this whole time, and then they're just fucking around. And like you mentioned, Dustin, where do they get all this red fabric to make these suits? Where'd they get all these scissors? I don't know. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not going to complain and just beat the movie to death. I do think it's solid. It's okay. It's just not my personal favorite. There's just too many things that bother me about it. And then the deaths, I feel like they were too neutered. Like, even like the neighbor, like, it's off screen. Tex on the boat. They just squabble. They pull away from it. It just, I don't know. I want to see more gore, more violence for what the context is. And I know the movie has some like a message it's trying to tell, but I don't know, man. Like Brian's mentioned and y'all have mentioned in the past, if I got to do all this research to figure out what the hell the message is, it just didn't work for me. I give it a 5.5.
All right. I'll go ahead and go real quick. Favorite kill for me was Red. The final fight was great, and Addie regressing into this primal state was great to see, even more after you get that final twist. Least favorite kill to me, there's a ton of off-screen kills. Like, we see bodies laying everywhere, so I'm not going to count those. I could have picked those, cop out, but I picked Pluto as well. Because, like you said, Nico, to me, it makes sense that they would mimic and mirror the above ground people when they're below ground. But once they get on the main level as well, they're not mimicking them anymore. They're not mirroring. Like, you had that little moment in the closet with Jason and Pluto where he puts his hand up and he mirrors them there. But to me, that didn't make sense. So I'm not sure why he mirrored Jason and walked into the fire. That bothered me. As far as my closing thoughts and the rating, so this is a movie I enjoy more and more every time I watch it. Like I said, if we ask me in a month or two if I've watched it again, I might even go up some more on the score. I don't know. First time, I admit I didn't really care for it, but I like it. Jordan Peele is nothing short of a genius to me. The acting is great. The score is great. And the cinematography is great. I do have those questions I mentioned earlier, but like you said, where are they getting this shit? Where are they getting the red jumpsuits? Where are they getting the scissors? All that. But overall, it's a very good movie to me. You don't feel the runtime to me at all. I didn't, at least. It didn't feel 2 hours. I was engaged the entire time. And the rewatchability factor to me is very high. I gave it a 9.
All right, Mike, I'll go ahead and go since we'll go back and forth here. My favorite kill was Red as well, but it really wasn't because of the kill, but the fight choreography I thought was great. Nico hit it right on the head. I mean, for a rated R movie, the kills were very neutered. I would have liked. Is her name Kitty? Was that the I think that's who it was. I really wanted to see
Elizabeth
that throat
Moss?
slash. Yeah, I really wanted to see that throat slash, and it cut away, and I was like, damn. But anyway, least favorite kill, I put the Jeremiah 11:11 dude. Not what you expected, probably. I wish it had been a tighter story with less plot holes. And while no, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to hope for, Peele is definitely to be commended for what I said earlier, being original and, what he was trying to say with the movie. It wasn't bad by any means. Again, it just kind of left me disappointed, and I gave it a flat 6.
All right. Can't believe that this is going to happen. But my favorite kill. Sorry, I forgot. Look, I don't know that other little boy's name, but I fucking loved it. I loved him walking back into the fire because they set it up. They set it up earlier in the film when they're in the closet and they're basically fucking in there playing patty cake with each other. These two clearly are more linked together than the others. Now, I hear you. It is a plot hole that isn't explained very well. But because they set that kill up, I thought it was very smart from Jason to have him walk backwards into that fire, knowing that it would work. I like that kill. I thought it was really well executed and really well done. I thought it was smart. My least favorite, honestly, is Kitty, because I'm like Brian. If they're going to tease a throat slash, I want to fucking see it, man. Give me that shit. I want Ronnie from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Give me that fucking deep-ass bloody throat slash, and we didn't get that, so that upset me a little bit. Okay. I really do love a lot of things in this movie. I like the story, love the cinematography, love the the directing by Peele. The writing is really, really good, in my opinion. The music, the score, whole soundtrack is great. There's some plot holes, for sure, that I don't think they do a great job of answering. But I think overall, I'm willing to forgive them because I'm entertained the entire time. Like, I get what the story is trying to say. And because of that, I enjoy it a little bit more each time I rewatch it. Acting is fucking top notch. I don't think anybody slouches in this cast. Like, I think everyone brings their A game in this film to me. All that being said, Dustin, we are in this thing together, brother, because I gave this a 9, which is 0.5 less than I gave Get Out.
Yeah, it's 0.25 lower than I gave Get Out. That gives us a composite score of 7.375. IMDb has it at a 6.8. And this movie is at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh.
Your mom's certified.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Hey, yo.
Black.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
All right, Kenny, y'all got any final thoughts on us before we just shout out our blood donors and I'll announce my pick for next week? All right, this was a good review. I was actually looking forward. I re-listened to our Get Out episode the other night while I was cooking, just because I wanted to kind of hear our thoughts on Jordan Peele's first movie. I do think the man is a very good filmmaker, but sometimes you just don't like the content that it makes. But that doesn't mean he's not talented,
Sure.
But anywho, let's shout out our blood donors. Anita Russell, final girl donor. We'll be doing her review, Pitch Black, in a few weeks. Appreciate your patience. Camper Lover reoccurring, Clayton J, Nina, Michelle Mirza, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, and Michael Evans. Camp Counselor reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Shan, Adrian Aiello, Karen, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Matt Strickland, Brooke Maley, Thorne David Phillips, and Heather Superdoc. Really appreciate y'all. It takes a big burden off of us to help us pay these bills. It means a lot to us that you help us out during these tough times. My pick for next week is, hell, I'm right there with you, Mike. I'm at the very end of my decade as well. 2019's The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers' second movie. Like y'all think about Jordan Peele, I think Robert Eggers is the man. I think he's a cinema superstar, just from a knowledge standpoint and how dedicated he is. I'm really looking forward to reviewing The Lighthouse. If y'all remember when we were all in the same room together doing our show at Mike's wedding, The Lighthouse was one I said over almost 2 years ago I was ready to review. So I'm ready to review it. Appreciate y'all listening. It means a lot to us. Check out our DGOT, the series, where we review film or horror series and TV shows. Really appreciate that. Y'all have a good one.
#CrawDaddy.
Just want to remind everybody,